Hey everyone, I'm Andi with Uncut with Andi Diamond, and we are here to inspire, entertain, and educate. And today I have this gorgeous group of my Diamond girls, and we're going to talk about boudoir photography and what it's all about, what it means, and why these ladies did it. So, hi ladies. Thank you, gorgeous girls, for being here with me today. Let's start by just going around the room and sharing your name, how old you are, and kind of what was your inspiration for doing a boudoir shoot for yourself.
Hi, Andi.
Hi.
I'm Ayanna. I'm 50, and my inspiration for the boudoir shoot was overcoming pancreatic cancer.
I'm so happy for you.
And I figured, why not? I survived that. I can definitely survive being half naked in a photo shoot.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Hi, I'm Shiloh, and I'm 41. My inspiration, I don't know, it's something I've always wanted to do. I probably thought of it when I was in my early 20s and said I wanted to do it at some point. It was my 40th birthday and figured, why not? Had a complicated relationship with body growing up, and so it was good to do.
Good.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Sandra. I am 48 years old. And my motivation was really, I thought about it years ago, and then I joined your group and I started seeing how empowering it was. And in my culture, that used to be so taboo, like, showing your body. I mean, Latinas, they show it, but when they talk about it, when you're featuring yourself, then everybody's like judgy. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it, and I want to do it for myself. So,
Fabulous.
Hi, I'm Inga, and I am 54. And so I was originally a little bit inspired and was kind of thinking about it, as you know, just to celebrate my 50th birthday and sort of in a post-divorce singles stage of my life. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it very quickly became my breast cancer journey to sort of document, everything that I went through.
And it was
with
quite
that.
a journey, and so I'm excited for you to share.
Yes, it was a lengthy one.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tammy. I'm 52, and I did this, what was it, a year ago?
Yeah.
A year ago now. And I really I realized that I wasn't getting any younger, and I wanted to get this snapshot in time. I also had body issues, and it really helps because you begin to love the things about yourself, and Andi can capture you in a way that what you thought were your biggest body issues really are your superpower.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm 53. And my motivation at the time was a gift for my husband for our wedding. I got married for the first time at 51 a couple years ago. So, and like you mentioned, I wanted that snapshot in time. Like I knew one day I'm going to be old and wrinkly, I'm gonna look back and say like, "Ooh, look how cute I was back in the day." So, and it's always something I wanted to do as well. So I was very comfortable with it. I really enjoyed it, and glad I did it.
So talk to me, whoever wants to go first, about how you felt leading up to it, and then how you felt day of, like in the moment as we're about to get started. Because I know a lot of people, well, first of all, let's back up a little bit. Boudoir photography has been around for a long time, but I really feel like in the past few years, it's gained a lot of traction with women's bodies being a lot more celebrated. So I am proud to say that in the last couple of years, like even when you look at advertisements from big corporations, you see a lot more body styles and a lot more body types that are finally being represented. So I feel like boudoir, along with that, has gained a lot of traction because women are starting to realize no shame on a Victoria's Secrets model, but most of us don't look like Victoria's Secrets models, and that's okay. So I feel like we are finally given the green light to celebrate ourselves and to be proud of our bodies and to feel good about ourselves, whether we are the stereotypical perfect body or not. So tell me how you guys felt leading up to it, and tell me how you felt throughout the process when we were actually shooting as well.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
For like a month.
Yeah.
It overwhelmed my thoughts. Like, what am I going to buy? Am I buying this? I was texting her all the time. Like, what about this outfit? What about that outfit? Does that look good? Do I have the right shoes? So I was very nervous. The day of, I think I had to take an anxiety pill. Before I showed up, I timed it so I would be relaxed. So I had to medicate a little bit.
No judgment.
But immediately, you made me feel comfortable. So when I look back about how much mental anxiety that I put into it versus being there that day. I wish I could go back and talk to myself and say, hey, get three outfits. You don't feel like you have to go on a diet.
Yes.
Don't do any of that. Just show up and have fun. Because once you get there, she makes it where it's just easy. Super easy. Well, the poses aren't easy. She makes
Pain
it
is
very
beauty.
easy.
It's a workout.
I have a funny kind of story. So I had to sneak around and buy some extra lingerie, and I had to sneak around and get a spray tan, make sure my nails were good. And I had to do this so that my soon-to-be husband didn't get suspicious.
Sure.
And I'm like, if he finds this suitcase of lingerie and he sees me getting this spray tan, he's going to be like, she's already having an affair. And I'm like, that was the part I was nervous about. But the actual, I never was nervous about the sessions with you. What I talked about with you on that day, I'll never forget this, is when I did my branding photos with you a couple years earlier, I wasn't natural at that. Like, you turn the camera on and I was just like real stiff. And I can look at pictures and be like, I was so stiff. But as soon as I got into that session, I was like,
Hey.
I was just like, my vixen came out, and I was just very comfortable with you. And yeah, inner vixen definitely came out.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What do you think are some common misconceptions about boudoir? And let me start off by saying, for me, boudoir doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in lingerie. It's whatever you feel comfortable and confident in. So when I have a new client who's interested and she is thinking about doing something like this, I show her albums like yours. I show her artwork from other client sessions so she can see that I like to work with women of all shapes and sizes and ages and backgrounds. And so to me, boudoir doesn't just mean lingerie. It means whatever you feel good about, what you feel positive in your body. And a lot of times clients are coming to me and they don't necessarily feel super positive in their body. So Shiloh, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you talk a little bit about body positivity and, you know, what do you think misconceptions are about boudoir and what we have to look like in order to do something like this?
Yeah. I don't know if I have the answer here because it's something I struggle with
Sure.
personally. I think, I don't know, growing up, I had all brothers.
You were a dancer.
I was a dancer, but I always say dancing is what kept me with girls and feminine. I was always more masculine feeling and seeming, just, broad shoulders. I was also a swimmer. And I think I carried a lot of that with me into adulthood, feeling like I wasn't sexy and feminine, right? And so I think part of what made me nervous was having to put on that front, right? But I think that you encouraged me, and looking at other, I also loved watching your some of the clips you would share of people giving interviews afterwards, but about the creativity in the outfits. I was able to find some pieces that really
Worked for
spoke
you.
to me and made me feel really good. And it also, I think, helped with that side of things too, to give me more of that.
And what do you think would be, besides the obvious of a woman saying, and this is what I hear the most often, and it makes me sad, but it's true, and it's the society and the culture that we live in, I weigh too much.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so hard because we all have our own kind of personal expectations that we carry for ourselves. And then people have expectations of other people,
Yeah. And women are the worst.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's something I really try hard not to do. I grew up in the dance world. And so I think I spent so much time criticizing my own body in the mirror every single day and hating it, even though it was gorgeous. I didn't see as much of the other stuff, and I almost envied the people that felt so good in their skin even at a heavier weight. And so I think that was what I tried to learn and emulate from. And my body weight has fluctuated. I've had 2 kids, it's gone up and down. So just really trying to instill that in my daughter too.
Yes.
That like all bodies are great. And that's another thing that I loved about wanting to do boudoir is like I grew up in a very in our house we didn't walk around naked. We didn't expose, I had all brothers. It was me and my mom, which I get, but in our house, like we're a naked house.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're a naked house too.
I don't know. We don't have, our doors are always open and we're just very open about it. And that was something that was important to me because it wasn't comfortable for me to start there. And I'm like, just trying to do more and more of that to bring that to my kids. You look at Europe, bodies are bodies.
Bodies are just
You
bodies.
know, bodies are bodies, and they're there to provide us with health and happiness, and hopefully we take care of them and can live a long time.
Yeah.
And, that's what I'm trying to teach my kids.
And I have 2 kids as well. I've got a teenage son who's 17 and a daughter who's 12 who's a competitive gymnast.
Mhm.
And I know we talked about this. I mean, I was a competitive gymnast. I lived in a leotard. My daughter lives in a leotard. And our bodies change. And, things grow and shrink and expand and are lumpy and are straight and,
Yeah.
and all kinds of things happen to our bodies. And so I have made a very conscious effort to make sure that in front of my kids, I speak kindly about myself. And then try to make that part of what I say about myself. Now, of course, when I'm talking with my girlfriends, I'll be like, ugh, but then fortunately, I've got wonderful girlfriends who are like, girl, you look amazing, but what we say and how we feel about ourselves spills over into other parts of our lives. And the little people around us hear everything that we are saying. And they're like sponges and they soak it all up, right?
I love it now. My daughter's getting to the point where I kind of peek in on some of her conversations. I'll listen here and there. And, she's sharing tips and advice with her friends that like I shared with her, right? And I'm like, oh my God,
She's working.
She's hearing things, right?
She was actually listening.
Right? But, it goes the other way too. So
Yeah.
just goes to show you got to be careful.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fine line that we walk. And I think we just have to be very conscientious. Even if you don't have kids, just, you're your number one priority because you can't love other people in your life, I feel like, until you truly love yourself. So I feel like that's a whole nother podcast. But okay. So what would you say this did for your confidence? Because I know you were going through some stuff. When we did this. So if you'd share a little bit of your backstory as well.
Yeah, I
and then
think
share
for my confidence issue, because I've always not been vain, but never had like scars or had to deal with anything serious in life. And then to come up and find out you think you have a gallbladder issue and it turns out to be pancreatic cancer, like the worst kind to have. And it was like going through devastation because you automatically think death when you hear something like that. So with that, after I got through the surgery, it was a rough surgery. And at the time I was going through a very bad separation with my husband of 25 years. Yes, I got diagnosed after we separated. So it was rough. I was dealing with all of that at the same time.
Just you got the shit stick handed to you.
Yeah, it's over and over and over. And you know what? Once I got through the surgery, I stayed with my girlfriends. They helped me out. I've got like a good core of like 5 or 6 really good girls that I've known for like 20 years or more. And they've been my rock. They helped me heal. And once I got well and I started looking at the different post photo shoots, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. Scar and all, I'm going to do that. And I finally reached out to
our
Andi.
asses off.
And it turned out probably when I got there, I was going to vomit. But it turned out to be the best experience I had. Best experience I had.
We laughed a lot.
Too much. So I was like barking.
And and I feel like, sometimes
it was a release.
Yes.
It was a complete release.
And it's okay to laugh at yourself and to laugh
especially
at
when you're falling off the bed
falling
upside down.
down.
And she wants you to look sexy and point that toe.
Yeah, point your
Falling
toes.
off the bed.
Soft hands, point.
Yeah.
I
Pull it
had
all
so
back.
many cramps. I was so
You
sore.
will be sore. You will be sore.
It
But
was
the
worth
whole
it,
point
though.
is to it's not that deep.
It's not.
It's
It
not
really
that deep.
wasn't.
And we laughed a lot because
Yeah, we
it's
did.
fun. It's fun. Like the whole thing is silly. It's
like-
silly.
like she
It's
said, it's like you want to do it over again to relive the actual moment instead of being trapped in that. Well, do I look okay? I gotta suck it in and this and that.
Right.
Yeah, because then my biggest thing was losing weight, but then after the cancer, it's like I'm trying to keep weight on.
Right.
So I'm doing this, So I think it's just go for it.
and you touched upon scars.
Mhm.
So can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I have a really nasty one. I call it my caveman scar. It looks like this. And it's kind of like lumpy, but I love him. He's a part of who I am now.
It's your story.
It's part of it. And I look at it in the morning and I was like, you survived a lot, girl. Instead of saying, oh my God, that's so ugly. Now I got to find a halter bathing suit. Nope. I don't. I get the bathing suit that's up here, and it's got the little gut at the bottom. It's got the little scar at the top. So it was a challenge for me, but I look back on things that are really serious, and it really wasn't
It's not
that
that
big.
deep.
No, it's not that deep. It's way bigger, important things in life. So do it, have fun with it, especially do it with Andy.
Thank you. So when I create artwork for my clients, I try to put together your story in a way that's going to be the biggest confidence boost for you, right? And we had specifically talked about like one of the outfits that you had on that was a beautiful 2-piece outfit. We didn't want to remove your scar.
Mm-mm.
You didn't want me to Photoshop it out and
No.
to fix it because you
No.
weren't broken,
No,
right? This was
exactly.
part of your story,
This
and that
is-
was your warrior image,
Yep.
right? That was like the
To me, that was like my journey, because I went through the journey of when you're 20s, you have your children, your husband, the kids, and you're wrapped up in that life. And now I use this is my journey, just for me, not my husband, which we're trying to work it out. Yeah. But not my husband, not my children. It's just for me. And this
Right.
was that's why this was important to me.
I love it. Inga, will you share a little bit into
Yeah.
your story?
Yeah, sure. So I can relate to a lot of that. Going back to when I did my first boudoir session with Andy, because so my boudoir was over 4 different sessions, as we mentioned, and over a bit of time. Like I mentioned, my original inspiration was I'm turning 50. I had been divorced for a couple years, and in that stage of life where I'm trying to really embrace and celebrate myself. My marriage itself was one that resulted in me definitely not loving my body, feeling like it wasn't good enough for him. He didn't like it. A lot of things around the marriage and the interactions there created a lot of negative self-talk in terms of my physical looks and so forth. And then all of a sudden, I'm diagnosed with breast cancer. And I made my decision around a double mastectomy and got my surgery scheduled very, very quickly. So Andy just suddenly said to me, I think on a Friday, "Oh, your double mastectomy is Monday. Let's do a little mini boudoir session tomorrow, so we get some shots when you still have your boobs." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, let's do it." So like zero planning went into it. So there wasn't any time for me to get nervous, because also, I'm having a double mastectomy on Monday. That's really where my mind was.
My mind was boudoir.
Yeah. But I mean, thank goodness I did it. I love having those photos where I still had my boobs. And then as we mentioned, we took some pictures when I was in reconstruction. We photographed
we went to Belize for your 50th
we went to
birthday.
Belize for my 50th birthday. So we were in Belize for my 50th birthday when I was in reconstruction. So I was in between surgeries, but I was fine to
You had your
travel. Thank goodness.
expanders.
I had my expanders in, which were incredibly
Terrible.
painful. Hated them. 7.5 months. It was like being pregnant with expanders. They're just really, really painful. And so we took photos down there, which was fun. I was basically nearly naked on the beach at 6 a.m.
liberating.
It was very liberating. And there was something about in Belize, it's kind of like Europe. Like they just don't care. Like nobody cares.
Right.
Like people are walking down the beach going for their 6 a.m. morning walk, and I'm half naked, and they don't care. So so neither
It's
did
that
I really
Spanish
at that
culture,
point.
right? Mhm.
Yeah. So and I remember being very self-conscious at that time around my scars. Because they were just very, very fresh, those scars and so forth. And then I made the decision to get artistic tattoos over the scars. And so Andy photographed that process. And then we did a full-on boudoir session. And by the time we got to that, I had my artistic tattoos, and I had some other tattoos from other stages of life. I guess at that point, the scars they had a really different meaning to me by that time. So this was by the time we were doing that, it was about 2 years after my double mastectomy. And I included some quotes in like a poem, actually, I think it is, really throughout my album, which helps to represent the thoughts and feelings around it, which were really kind of around how the scars are my beauty. Like what I thought was beauty in the past is no longer what we have to redefine our own beauty, which I think all women are challenged with, relative to social media and what we're presented with, as you were stating. The pressure of the Victoria's Secret model being the only way to look, right? It's one way to look, and it's great for those, but it's not the only way to be beautiful. And so I think we're all challenged with that, of defining beauty for ourselves. And for me, defining beauty became my courage and my bravery and the scars that represent that. So I can relate to, I want to show my scar because that says a lot about me.
Yeah.
And it says a lot about my inner strength and inner beauty. Yeah.
So how do you think, any of you can answer this, how do you think something like a boudoir shoot can help a woman to embrace her self-confidence and to show self-expression? Because there's going to be the pearl clutchers that are like, oh God, I could never.
Oh my God.
Who would do something like that? Hussies, for real. But how can, because I feel like bodies and body awareness, it's such a part of our culture. So how can we flip the script on that? And how can something like this allow us to feel empowered? How can something like a boudoir shoot give us that inner confidence and that inner strength and the self-expression? How does a boudoir shoot relate to that? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I mean, we're all very confusing people, very
Sure.
convoluted mentally, but it does make sense. So usually, I always keep saying this to myself. I did come from very ugly relationships in the past before I met my husband, and I was always struggling with that self-image and et cetera, just because I was belittled quite a bit. But then the boudoir thing was something when I said to myself, stop diluting yourself to make other people comfortable, right? And I keep reading that over and over and over because, you dress down all the time. You dress like, your confidence is shattered. And then when I look at myself here, I'm like, damn, I've always
I look
struggled.
good.
Yeah. I always struggle like my thighs, thunder thighs, like, right? And she was like, stop that. And when I see my thighs here, I don't see the thunder thighs. I see like long legs for days. So thank you.
You're welcome. I did nothing to them. That's your
you.
thighs.
You just, help me stretch them a little bit. They look just like, so thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share what you think that boudoir can do for self-expression or self-confidence?
I think it's just telling big F you to everybody else.
Yeah.
Just, this is for you. Do it for yourself. Whatever your reasoning is. I think maybe whatever what you think is a fear, that's when you should do it the most. I've learned that because by facing that biggest fear of you need to figure out what you're going to do with your life because it's altered. And once I face that, everything else is just smaller. And to me, this is just, like I said, a big F you to everybody else. And love yourself. There's nothing wrong with loving yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
Isn't it such a double-edged sword? Like, oh God, she feels so bad about herself and she has no confidence, or she's so confident and so cocky. Like, why can't what is wrong with us loving ourselves? What's wrong with saying, I feel good about myself. I love myself. I look good. Period. End of story, without making a concession about it.
Yeah, I think one thing that it helped me with in kind of a confidence manner is that, especially once you become a mom, I feel like you tend to put everybody else's needs ahead of your own. And the self-care became non-existent. I mean, when I booked my session with you, I remember I did it on Valentine's Day because I saw you ran a special and I was just scrolling through Facebook. I was like, click, done. And then when I actually booked it with you, I was still like, we booked it 6 months out. So I was like, I have time. But I was so stressed and I had no self-care.
I remember this conversation.
None. I was so sickly skinny because I was working myself to death and I was not sleeping and I just wasn't taking care of myself. And I almost called to reschedule.
Drink your water.
Yes. I almost called to reschedule because I was like, I don't have time to make myself in a place where I feel good. But I didn't. And it was really good for me to put myself first, though, and taking that time and money and all of the things that it does take to have self-care and to put yourself first. But I prioritized it because I had a deadline. I work with deadlines very well. Yeah.
And you invested money.
I invested money. That's also very important to
me.
And so but again, it was the greatest thing for me because after doing that and like taking that time and then seeing how good I felt about
everybody
myself, and I was
survived.
like, they did.
While mom was taking care of herself,
They
everybody else
did.
survived.
I know. And, you know, we have this beautiful piece of artwork up in my master bedroom now that, you know, my kids get to see. I mean, it's, you know, tasteful. But, you know, and again, they haven't seen these, but like, you know, over time, I'll show them. And, you know, again, it's just that confidence to like, hey, I did this for myself,
Right.
100% for me, you know?
And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, I think that's a society thing where it's like,
we're expected.
we're expected to give so much of ourselves to everybody else in our lives, but not care for ourselves.
Yeah. So it gave me the confidence to like,
I
put
love
myself first.
And like I said, everybody survived.
Mhm.
You took a day to celebrate you,
Yes.
and the whole world around you did not fall apart. That's kind of amazing, right?
Yeah. Really amazing.
Ladies, when was the last time you took the opportunity to truly celebrate yourself? To give yourself a gift just because? I know so often we're so hard on ourselves and we don't take time to truly celebrate ourselves and to do something special for us, or we feel like it has to be because of a milestone, a birthday, or a goal set and met. But really, when you think about it, when we're happy, everybody else around us is more happy. I know in my personal life, if I'm happy and if I'm in a good mood and I'm feeling confident, my kids are happier, my husband's a lot happier. And this is really something that I have found with all of my women clients who've done beauty sessions. They just feel good about themselves. They walk out of the session with their chin a little bit higher, with their shoulders pulled back a little bit more, and they feel beautiful. Some even tell me that this is the prettiest they've ever felt. And so I want to give that to you. I want to give you the opportunity to feel amazing in your own skin, regardless of what you weigh right now, what your hair color is, what your wardrobe is. I think when you walk out of this session, you will find that you have a renewed sense of confidence and you just feel sexy and beautiful. And I think that's something that is completely invaluable. I truly feel like every woman who walks into my studio is beautiful and is photogenic. And it is my job as your photographer to prove to you just how amazing you can look on camera. I want you to walk out of my studio feeling like you're on cloud nine. Like you've never felt this gorgeous, you've never felt this sexy and this sensual, and it's my job as your photographic artist to prove that to you. I'm Andi with Andi Diamond Photography, and I would love to help you celebrate you. So how do you ladies think that boudoir, and you kind of touched on this, challenges societal's norm of what beauty is, especially now?
I mean, we live in a world in social media where it's encouraged somehow along the way. It turned where young ladies are out there sharing everything about them on a public platform.
And usually filtered, so not reality.
Usually filtered. So, you know, I think it's different that you're doing it in a way that's it's artistic. It's for you. It's a snapshot in time. I would absolutely encourage it, but I think it differs. I wanted to show, I have a daughter who is 18, and I wanted to show her there is a way that you can appreciate yourself, appreciate your body, and you do not have to put yourself out there on social media to have something that you can feel good about, that's treasured just for you, even if it's only
Just for you.
only if we are the only ones that see it. You can still feel good about your body without having to go and plaster everything on social media where there's nothing left to the imagination. I think this is a good avenue for women to get that kind of satisfaction, but not share it with everybody in the world, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense.
It does. And I want to just add something to that because, yes, everything you said is so true. But when we start doing, and at least in my case, I started doing more research on the different photographers out there, et cetera. And I've seen Andi's work, but I just wanted to compare it to everybody else's in the internet. And so tasteful. Because you see some things out there that I'm like, that's not artistic.
To each their own. To each their own.
To each their own, but I'm like, I want it to be tasteful and artsy and flirty and fun. You know, if you want to do something else, and that's fine. But I was like, yeah, I got a good one.
Yeah, you're right, Shiloh. To each their own. I tend to shoot in a way that if your daughter happens to stumble across your artwork, you're not going to be mortified. You're going to be like, yeah, that's mom and I'm hot.
Oh, this thing, my husband has it on display in our wall unit in the living room, and he even has a thing in the back so it shows the artwork.
Oh,
in there.
it's like,
so
oh.
whoever walks in, if they want to say, I'm like, really, you want to have that in there? But I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's fun, it's good.
Okay, so what would you say to a woman or to a friend who wants to do boudoir, but because of what they have learned in their brain and have been programmed through the years, I'm too fat, I weigh too much, I'm too old, I'm not dating anyone, I'm not in a relationship. Those are the big pushbacks that I get. So talk to me about, first talk to me about, I'm take any of those.
I kind of put them all together.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure that you can relate to this one a little bit too. I mean, we all can on some level, but so my response would be, honey, you're alive.
Yeah.
You are alive. Your body is your one and only body that you're going to get. This is not a dress rehearsal.
Right.
There is no do-over. And that body you got a heart that's pumping, you got lungs that are breathing, it is keeping you alive. And it's beautiful because of that. That's
and it's
what
okay to
makes
celebrate
it
with
beautiful.
all of our self-perceived imperfections.
Yeah, and I know it's a lot easier said than done because there is so much historical, societal pressure on women that existed even before social media, and now, of course, social media is just like that on steroids. That pressure to look a certain way and be a certain way. But that's one of the things that I love so much about boudoir photography. And the way that you share it, of course, for those women who are comfortable sharing it, through social media is so that we can all see that, every body is beautiful. You're alive. And I'm 54 now, so I'm all about everything's about longevity.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
I tell my kids all the time.
Yeah. This is not a dress rehearsal, folks. You got to love who you are, what you've got, and what you're in.
Right. And like you said, sometimes it's easier said than done, but when you put it in the motion of constantly practicing that, then you start to believe it. So what do you say when a woman says, I'm not dating anybody, I'm not in a relationship? Tammy?
You want to do it for you. Love yourself the same way.
Yeah. You are in a relationship with yourself.
Give yourself the same gift that you would give somebody in a relationship. That's what I would say. So, yeah.
I was single when I started. I was single when I started my boudoir journey, and then I was dating by the time I was after the reconstruction.
Yeah.
So by the end, I was in a relationship, but I was completely single when I started it. Yes.
And we took one of the photos and framed it. It was really pretty. And I put it in my bathroom as a reminder. You pass the full length mirror that you're checking yourself out when you're wearing outfits. You pass by that, inevitably you say something unattractive to yourself as you're passing the mirror. And then you come full on into the bathroom with it up on the wall and you're like, well, maybe she's not so bad.
Right. Right.
So it's an
Damn, she
ongoing
looked good.
Then you get back and you F you to the mirror and say, look at that.
Right. It's true.
So do it absolutely for yourself. You don't have to be in a relationship. I would do it again.
Yeah. I've had several clients who've done it a couple of times. So on the flip side of what we were just talking about, saying I'm not in a relationship, for those of you who did share it with a partner, what was their reaction?
I'll grab that. So my husband, I call him the robot. He's so even keeled and he's just like a robot. So I couldn't wait till the actual wedding day to show him. And I wanted to keep it more private. I didn't want to have people around and him having to go off in a corner. So, and I was too eager to give it to him. So I had this big production and I wrapped it all pretty. And I told him I had something for him. And he's like, oh, you didn't have to give me anything. I'm like, okay. So
it was a present for me, but you get to see it.
Opens it up. And at first he's like, oh, and in his head later, he said, I didn't recognize that picture, but okay. So he starts opening it up. And there's a picture of me just sitting on one of your
Cindy Crawford at home
couches with regular clothes on. He's like, oh, must have taken a couple pictures of herself. And he thought it was a scrapbook. that I had put together a scrapbook of all of our pictures
Excuse
together
me?
because I'm 12 years old. And, and so he tells me this later. He thought, oh, no, I should put together a scrapbook. And then he gets to the naked ones. Oh, the lingerie. And it's like, I don't recognize that. Oh, so we just kind of, keeps going and it keeps getting more and more. It starts from the light side and goes to the dark side, which I love the dark side.
Right.
So yeah, he was pleasantly surprised, but I enjoyed experiencing that with him privately in my home personally. Everyone does their own thing,
Sure.
but that worked for me. So we could ogle on it together.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share what partners thought?
Yeah, I'll go there. So it was funny because my husband knew that I had something going on with Andy, but he had no idea that it was a boudoir shoot, of course. And when I went to pick up the album, and I was like, oh my God, he's going to like pass out because it's really good looking thing going on here. When he saw it, he was like, whoa, so that's what you were like all secretive about? And he was like, and you've met Kevin, how he's like, holy fuck. But look at that. I was like, yes. So it was a nice surprise for him. I know I did it for myself, but it was nice to share myself in that way and surprise him, and the feels.
Yeah. So I did a boudoir shoot recently. I had done one probably eight, almost 9 years ago. And we were in Las Vegas recently for a conference, and a photographer who I follow was there for the conference. And I was like, and honestly, and I've been married for 22 years. I did not even think my husband will really like this. I really didn't. I was like, it's time for me to do another boudoir shoot. And I did. And I felt all the feels beforehand. Like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get outfits. Like I am the worst client because it was like day of, and I'm running to the mall to get outfits. Oh shit, I haven't got all my outfits, and then trying things on. And then with the girl at the sales person at the store, like, does this look good? My ass looks big, doesn't it? And she was Latina, and she was like, honey, in my culture, those hips and that butt, like, you're good. I was like, oh, I need you in my life. And I did bring my husband and a girlfriend when we were shopping and everything. But then leading up to the shoot itself, like as I was getting ready, I was nervous. And I know what it is. I've photographed hundreds of women, but I felt those nerves, like, is my this going to look big? And I'm like, okay, pull your crap together here, because it's fun. It's going to be empowering. And so what would you say to women who are on the fence because they're scared, because they're nervous?
Have a drink. Just do it. Drink till you get drunk till you say yes.
Not too drunk,
Not
because
too
then your
drunk
eyes
that
go all.
you got to keep your eyes
But yes, you can
open,
have
but-
cocktails.
Yeah, but I just think just don't. When we're younger, we put so much emphasis on things that are not important. And it's sad that we don't get it until we're middle-aged,
Right.
like in our 40s or 50s. But if I can tell my younger self, I'd say screw all of that.
Yes.
Take them every year.
Yes.
It's
do
every
it,
year.
do it. We're not getting any younger. That's like,
Every
I
year.
know I look different from when I did it then.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I was like, thank God I did it then. Like, but do it now. As soon as you think that you have that idea that you're sure, and you do your research and et cetera, then just go and do it. Buy that lingerie, put the thing, and go with Andy, because Andy does make everything fun and comfortable, and we dance, and what were we playing? I mean, we were
I
like
don't
doing all
even
this.
know. Just Wilson. Yeah, Wilson.
Oh,
My emotional
Wilson.
support dog.
Everybody loves Wilson.
It was great. Yeah, and I would just echo that, like, do it now and then do it again
Right.
later, so you can also see the stages of your life. I wish I started thinking about it in my early 20s. I wish I had done it then.
Right.
And then again and again.
Right. And I do have clients who do it multiple times.
And do
Yeah.
the thing that scares you.
Right.
I mean, would you want to wake up 5 years later and say, wow, I wish I'd done that boudoir shoot
Right.
when I knew that fantastic photographer that do it now. Do the things, you said it earlier, do the things that scare you, for sure.
The only other thing that I would add to that, because I agree with all of that, is if you're hesitating, if somebody was hesitating because they were like, well, I don't want my pictures out there on Facebook or whatever. I mean, I would just encourage them to know that that's okay
Right.
too. You just have to have a conversation with Andy
Absolutely.
about it. Like, you just have to let her know, no, I'm not okay with you sharing, even my pre-boudoir interview or my post-boudoir interview. Or no,
there's a lot of sessions that go on that nobody knows about.
Yeah,
because
I'm sure.
they just don't want me to share,
I'm
and
sure
that's fine.
Yeah, I'd rather not have my photos. Unlike, myself, I'm like, put whatever you want out there.
Hence, you guys are here today.
So that's just, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it or can't do it.
Right.
Just have a
That's a good
conversation
point.
about that and just share where your comfort zone is in terms of the actual photos.
Talk to me about, if all of you can think of one, favorite moment or memory during your shoot that really resonates with you. Whatever that was, whether it was something silly or fun, or whether it was something where it was like a light bulb that kind of went off, or just something that you were like, I'm doing this right now.
I have a cute story.
Okay.
And this is involving you. One of the
That's good.
funniest parts, the funniest parts that I still laugh about, and this may not go over for everyone. For me, it was perfectly fine. You were snapping away. I had my veil on because I brought my veil.
Yep.
I believe I was topless, and I had, some hose on or something like that in my poses. And you're clicking away, and all of a sudden you stop. You go, I hope it's okay for me to say this, but you have fantastic boobs. And I was like, I know.
They are good.
That was my favorite part.
Okay, good. I'm glad I could hype up your boobs. Oh, that's enough. I mean, so not to divert from what we were just talking about, but like women need more women in their lives that hype them up. Like you have a fantastic ass. You've got great boobs. Your hair looks beautiful. Like just be nice to other people,
Strangers. I
And
do that to strangers
like,
all the time.
Probably don't tell a stranger she's got
not
nice
boobs.
boobs, but
They have nice hair.
But like when I said that, it was not obviously in a sexual manner. It was just like when you can tell someone in this type of environment, when you're doing the shoot and they may be a little, and you're like, girl, like you look great. You look fantastic. Like pat your back. Feel good about yourself. You know?
My daughter, she's a little bit more introverted than I am. And she at some point was asking me, Mom, how do you have so many friends? And I was like, well, first of all, I grew up in this town. I collect them,
Right.
over the years. But second of all, and she's like, well, how do you make new friends? You go up to people and you just can talk to people. And I was like, well, here's the trick to making new friends is you walk up to somebody, you give them a compliment. You
true
say
compliment.
something nice about them that you like, then you ask them a question and you listen. And like, again, giving those compliments, that's how you connect with people. And having these female connections in life, as you know firsthand, is just so critical for us living full and healthy lives, is that female connection. And so the more we can compliment each other, the more we're going to connect.
It just feels
And
good.
Yes.
It feels good to the person. It feels good to
Yes.
you.
Lift each other up.
Anybody else have any stories of moments throughout their shoot that maybe were really...
Well, my funniest, of course, was the upside down thing. That
Okay, so
Andy-
I saw a pose. I don't even know where I saw it. A magazine,
Disaster.
Pinterest, something. And in my mind, it looked so hot and so easy. And it was not.
No, God.
We had in our mind. So we tried and
the upside down.
it just went
the boob
downhill.
kept coming out of the outfit.
But
I was
all we
like,
could do
Andy,
was
this is
laugh.
not- oh God, I was like, this is not working, Andy.
I think
As
one of
much
us
as I
almost
wanted
peed
to
our
do it-
pants because we were laughing so
Poor
hard.
Wilson came in the room. He thought we were
Is
dying.
everybody okay?
That was the funniest. I think, but my not most memorable, but probably the magical was the makeup. Because
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't get
yeah,
my makeup
yeah.
done like that. So to
That
not
starts
see it
the-
and then she turned that thing around, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
she can clean up nice.
Yeah.
So that was my moment. I think the makeup, it was magical because I'm like a girly girl.
Yeah.
You know what, Mary, if I can add to that, you're absolutely right. Once I got that makeup on and I felt like, holy moly, yeah, let's do this. Let's
Yeah.
do this. But one thing that I found extremely funny, especially after seeing the pictures, was like, if you see what's happening in between those shots, this is super sexy. And we were just laughing
Laughing.
the entire time. I'm surprised that you can actually capture like the sexy poses because it was laughter after laughter after laughter. So yeah.
And it should be fun, right? The whole
fun.
I think laughter is empowering, right? And that's what I tell women when they call and they're like, I'm not very sexy or I'm not very photogenic. When somebody tells me they are not very photogenic, I'm like, game on. Because we all I think the photogenic side of us comes with confidence and comes with feeling good about ourselves. And then I truly believe that everybody can feel and look good on camera because you feel good. And so that's where hair and makeup starts the whole process, right? Because that starts getting you into the mood of, okay, this is not just me going to work or taking care of the kids or running to the gym or going to the grocery store or whatever. It sets a tone. I want, once you're done with hair and makeup, I want it to look like you, just a well-rested, slightly glamified version of you.
I love that. And I love how you tell everyone all the time exactly that this is you. It's not going to look like somebody else. It's just a glamorous you.
Right.
But it's still you.
It's still you. Okay, so let's go back just for a second because I really want to dig into this because I think this is one of the biggest hesitations or biggest reasons that would cause someone pause from doing this is our weight. And we're all somewhat guilty of it. So what would you say to somebody or what advice would you give to somebody when it comes to doing a boudoir shoot but thinking they can't because I'm too fat? And I'm just going to say it because this is what I hear.
Eating makes you feel better, then eat something before you
That's
go
great
to the
advice.
shoot. I mean,
You're not hangry.
Yeah, exactly. It's hangry vibes.
Right.
We're just hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
We are super hard on ourselves. Women way more than guys, because guys can walk, and nothing on the guys. Sorry, they can walk around with big pot belly, tank top or no tank top, hair coming out of the belly button, and it's fine. But let a woman walk around and she's just got what they consider a little bit of a pudge on the side.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, she's fat. No, she's not. You're stupid. But I'm a meanie.
Well, you know, I would say there's different strokes for different folks.
Right.
Meaning it takes every single type of body to please all the different personalities out there. Embrace the body that you have.
Right.
And I was self-conscious because I had surgery, like you guys. I had breast implants removed, so I was a little puffy still from having that surgery. I ended up having to have it twice. And I was also self-conscious that I didn't really have boobs anymore and a little bit of scarring. So I felt a little puffy. And I don't really think people have to stay at more. And I'd love to have a guy here. Guys don't always want the skinny girl. So be
And no shade on the skinny
comfortable-
girls.
Right. Be comfortable with exactly who you are. And it's okay. And my mom always said, you need an extra 5 pounds in case you get sick.
And if you're
Embrace the 5 pounds.
if you are in a process of, I'll say self-improvement, if you're in some sort of process where you are working on your physical health and there's something that you're doing to try to improve your physical health, whatever that may be, just like what Tammy said, what's the harm in loving yourself along the way? Like we can love ourselves here, we can love ourselves here, we can love ourselves everywhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be that you can celebrate your body at the end of your journey. Celebrate your body throughout the entire journey, right? Were you going to say something, Heather? No, okay. Okay. Any other things that I didn't say, you guys, that you think would be a good thing?
Trust the process.
Okay.
I would say trust the process.
Yeah.
Let Andi do whatever Andi wants to do. During the process, you may question it, but just trust the process.
And pain is beauty.
Yes.
I was going to say when you
And
feel
work on
that
your lower back muscles
Yes.
before you get there. And your
the
core.
lower back arch, you're like, just trust her.
Yeah.
The pop.
Yeah. I am so appreciative for all of you ladies for being here with me today, for trusting me to create this experience for you. I know it can be a little intimidating. I know it can feel a bit scary. And so I appreciate your trust. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to share with the other ladies who are hopefully going to watch this about why we should celebrate ourselves and why boudoir really is for everybody. So thank you, ladies. And thank you guys for tuning in today to Uncut with Andi Diamond. And we will see you next time.